Earthfall is a budget title, which is touted as a co-op 4-player shooter game, much like Left 4 Dead. I picked it up for just a few dollars on sale, because I'm usually always willing to play some cheap shooter game, especially with a full co-op campaign. Well, it does have 3 campaigns, but I say that lightly. The first 2 campaigns consists of 5 missions each, and the last campaign is a single mission. So you start up the game, you invite your friend to the lobby, and you're presented with a few difficulty modes. First, there's the gameplay difficulty, which by default is normal, which we chose to leave it as. Next is the bot difficulty. At first I had no idea what to make of this, but it turns out this means that you don't have to have a full human team. You get to determine how smart the AI partners will be. Weird, but okay. So I left it on the default as well. You can choose a character from the 4 available options, but none of them are visually appealing or have standout characteristics. They're as generic as can be. After starting up mission 1, and within just 10 minutes, it was like, wow, this really is just Left 4 Dead copy-pasted. This is bargain bin Left 4 Dead. This is dollar store Left 4 Dead. Right down to all the finishing touches, like how you can see your guns glow through the walls, and when you pick them up, your character calls out gun name here, to the melee weapons, the sidearms with infinite ammo, the randomly respawning primary weapons around the maps. Even the damn music sounds like a dollar store version of Left 4 Dead music. This is not automatically all a bad thing. I'm fully welcoming for more games in the Left 4 Dead formula, but it didn't take long for the cracks to begin to show, and start to realize how lifeless and without personality this game was. Instead of zombies, Earthfall uses these weird alien mutant things, and they're just not that very threatening looking, or exciting to fight against. At least with zombies, it's easy to make a horror vibe, and scary threatening moments with creepy sound effects, and the satisfaction of using a gore system to blow them to bits. But here in Earthfall, with these generic mutants, there's just not much fun in fighting them. Of course you have the derivative special monsters, like the tank, which is the beast here, and the spitter, I can't even remember what they called it here, and the jockey enemy that grabs you, also can't remember what they call it in Earthfall. Pretty much every monster from Left 4 Dead is recreated here, just in a way less interesting way, and nowhere near as exciting to fight or easily identifiable at a glance most of the time. There's maybe one unique enemy, this blue magical floating alien thing that has shields all around it. This thing sucks. You kinda just try to shoot it in between the gaps of the shields to hit its head, then it teleports all over the place. It's a mess. I think these devs are just creatively bankrupt. But the worst of all is the tank. Like Left 4 Dead, this game has a director, meaning it will randomly spawn hordes of enemies. Sometimes, the mission can be very easy, mostly because the tanks don't spawn. But sometimes, you'll get 3 tanks in a row, making it borderline impossible. The tanks simply have too much health. You have to dump literally hundreds of bullets into it to kill it, even if you shoot its weak spot on the back. It doesn't do much. What this means is that most of the time playing the game, you aren't able to actually use your main weapon, because you need to save the precious ammo in case a tank randomly decides to spawn on top of you. The game has a decent variety of weapons though, multiple different AKs, SMGs like MP5, P90, shotgun, sniper, all sorts of grenades, mines, napalm things, turrets, chain guns, flamethrowers, but you are basically forced to save them for when the tank or harder enemy shows up, because who knows when ammo is going to show up next. The guns mostly feel okay, however. Like they are sort of fun to shoot and play with, but mostly the enemies aren't too fun to fight, so it ends up feeling like they don't matter. You end up having to play most of the game using these shitty pea shooter pistols, spamming them non-stop. It makes what little enjoyable combat there was feel even more lackluster, since you don't actually get to play with the guns on offer most of the time. The missions consist of a very brief cutscene to give some context. Then you get sent on a series of objectives that show up on the top left. There's icons around the game world, and you must go and complete these objectives. Usually they aren't very creative or interesting. It mostly consists of things like turning a power on, getting gas and refueling some generator, pressing a button, or waiting for a door to open, or using a radio for help, and a few times having to place explosives, or just surviving a few waves of enemies. Every level consists of these basic objectives, without much unique or memorable encounters, and there's not really any climaxes or crescendos in the pacing and engagement. The entire experience is kind of just a steady, lukewarm excitement level. There's not really any big epic finales or memorable standoffs. Even the last areas of the missions are forgettable, and just as standard as the rest. You'll frequently come across places where you lay down barricades and turrets and use this gun printing machine that lets you select the gun and spawn one, if the place currently has power. I guess this was the main selling point and distinguishing feature that sets it apart from Left 4 Dead? Well, it's not that impressive. It's really just an idea ripped straight from Call of Duty World at War. So it's hardly a novel concept. So it's just more derivative mechanics from other famous games. So what you end up doing as a gameplay loop is going to these holdout stations where you lay down a few barricades next to the gun printer, which is one of the main ways to get ammo. You just spawn new guns, and you lay down barricades by the health stations. Then, when you finish the survive objectives, you have to quickly get to the new objective before the game randomly decides to spawn a tank on top of you. Rinse and repeat. Luckily, each mission is short, maybe 15 to 30 minutes tops. But there's not much else to the game besides this. On paper, this might sound okay, and at times the game is mildly enjoyable. I mean, it uses the Unreal Engine, which is both a blessing and a curse. It's nice because by default it's hard to screw up a lot of things with the Unreal Engine. There's templates for everything to get a general basic game going, to get decent enough modern graphics, lighting, and stuff like that. And the developers did a decent job with the textures and models and the gunplay and the animations. But also it's a curse to have Unreal Engine because these games are so damn generic usually because it's so easy to create a good enough game since the engine handles most of it for you. If you have a creatively bankrupt developer whose most of his job is basically AI generated for him, it leaves the end result of these games without any personality or characteristics, besides being soulless clones of each other. But War's problems lay within the game more than just the engine. The AI teammates are especially abysmal. I got stuck on level 3 and could just not finish it after repeated failures. I tried bumping the AI from normal to masterful and could not even see a difference. All too often the AI teammates would just stare at a wall and do nothing, while you're dead on the ground begging for help. Or they would charge out into a tank with no ammo and die instantly. This is some of the worst AI teammates I've seen in recent times. There's also no checkpoints during the level, so if everyone goes down, you have to reset the level from the start, which would be fine, but the terrible AI coupled with unbalanced bullet sponge enemies with barely any ammo makes this a particularly frustrating experience. The pacing of the missions is also all over the place. Level 3 is super difficult because it's this close quarters factory mission where you're in tiny closed off rooms, whereas basically the rest of the game is quite easy. It's just all over the place. None of the levels really follow a coherent narrative. It just feels like random maps smashed together, and it hardly feels like a campaign. The only memorable map in the game that looks different is that one snow map. All the rest are forgettable as can be. They are serviceable enough, but fairly linear, and there's not too much to them besides walking a straight line to the next objective. There's factories, sewers, city street levels. That's most of the content. And after finishing both campaigns, there was no reward or ending cutscene or credits or anything. You kind of just get picked up in a helicopter and fireworks go off for 10 seconds and that's it. Then there is a third campaign that consists of a single 15-minute level. That was the most pointless shit I've ever seen. Why is this a thing? Why make a campaign with one single level? Were they going to make more and just gave up? Was it added in a patch many years after the game released? Who knows? The game devs seem like they don't have their heads screwed on right. Oh, and there's a skill system, but that never really gets used or realized. You can only see it on the main menu, and you gain perks by getting an absurd amount of kills, using specific weapons, or doing specific things. We never cared about any of this, and it seemed more like it was just slapped on there last minute, rather than some core integral feature of the game. Again, it's just more pointless features made to make the game look like it has depth, but it really doesn't. As if the only reason they put this in was to be able to market and say, look, our game has skills too. Well, I'm glad the skills don't matter, because the last thing this game needed was more generic shit rammed into it, like skill trees and modern mechanics. The best thing Earthfall has going for it is that it's kind of an old school co-op shooter, as in it's just jump in and play. There's not really any heroes to select, no levels to gain, no weapons to upgrade or unlock, just jump in, pick up a random weapon, and try to beat the levels. Great, that sounds fun enough. And the game does have its moments where you think, this isn't so bad. I like having more Left 4 Dead style games to play. And this game does do some things alright. Like the guns aren't terrible, and the controls feel fluid enough, and the graphics are alright. Just the execution of all the mechanics are so lazily done, or unimaginative, and the balance is all over the place. The monsters are not exciting, and the story is virtually non-existent, and the characters and dialogue and writing is cringe at best. It doesn't make for an amazing experience, and at times I was almost dreading coming back to finish this game. But at least it's short, and it's a co-op game you can play with a friend over a weekend or two. 5 out of 10.
Griggs, this is Alpha. We blew our way into the mine. Where can we find you?
Hey, I'm hurt pretty bad. You gotta finish the job we started. We'll need a bunch of drills to knock out the big structure we found.
Drills. Got it. But you hold on. We're coming. We'll get you out of there.
It's okay. We hit them hard today, and we're not done yet. I'm just glad I get to go outside and...
Hey, you're not going out
yet. We'll be there before you know it.
My legs are gone.